Okay, let's talk about math anxiety. And the question is it a real thing? Okay. And you can see here, I say yes, it's real. And we're going to get into this topic here. So if you're watching this video, obviously this caught your interest. And this is this is really important for almost all math students or people who've struggled with math. I think you'll uh, find this video helpful. That is my goal. Let me first go ahead and introduce myself. My name is John. I'm the founder of TabletClass Math. I'm also a middle and high school math teacher, and over the last several years, I've constructed many online math courses. So if you want to check out my full math program, I'm going to leave the link to that in the description of this video. Also, if you're new to my YouTube channel, I have hundreds and hundreds of math videos, and I'm posting stuff all the time. So hopefully you'll consider subscribing. And if you get something out of this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up and smashing that like button. All right, so I want to disclose right off the bat. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychologist, a psychiatrist, I'm none of that. I'm not talking about any kind of formal diagnosis of math anxiety. I'm using this term, anxiety, kind of as a catch-all phrase in terms of the fear of math, like people who have low confidence in math. You phrase it how you want. I kind of use this plain term math anxiety because people are anxious. There's a lot of people who are anxious about math. So what I want to talk about is how that can occur, all right, and then what could be done about it. So the question is it a real thing? Yes, it is a real thing. And from years and years and years and years working with just thousands, tens of thousands of math students, and this is young math students, middle school, high school, adults, people into their 60s, 70 years old, the whole full spectrum of people learning math. And not just for talking, in the middle and high school level, talking about those of you out there are 40, 50, 60, 70 years old, how this can impact you your entire life. So let's just, talk about what, here, we just draw a little student here, a little stick figure. And let's say they're not happy about math, but they're not sad about math, right? So let's just kind of define, first of all, what is math anxiety? Well, it's the way I think about it is this. I got a new student here, okay? And this student has this identity that they are not good in math. So they're like, math and me do not get along. I am not good in math. I am, just, don't want to do it. I hate it. I can't, I struggle with it, etc. Now, I want to state right off the bat, there's all kinds of situations where this, your student could be, restricted or, let's just say having a tough time with learning in general because they have a learning disorder, okay? Whether it be, let's say, dyslexia or something along those lines. So I'm kind of talking, I'm not talking so much about those type of scenarios, right? Where there is a kind of a special circumstance involved, a learning disorder. But in some ways, I am kind of not totally excluding those students who have those kind of scenarios because I've seen students that have had, special scenarios, just like you name it, okay, Asperger's, whatever, can be very successful in math. So it doesn't, in other words, them having math anxiety and then turning that around, learning how to improve and becoming successful in math to their potential. All right. So again, what I'm trying to do here is a baseline is a student who doesn't have or isn't aware of any uh, learning disorder or anything along that. They just hate math and they feel like they cannot do math. All right. And then when you teach them, all right, so here is the teacher, all right, and here they are, and they're up teaching, okay, on the chalkboard, blah, 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 blah. This person is like, there's a brick wall. They're like, nope, nope, I'm not even trying to do this. No, they just put up a wall, and they pretty much kind of accept, um, like, all right, I'm just gonna like try to you pass with a D minus. I'm just gonna kind of do the bare minimum. Now, Of course, it doesn't have to be this extreme, but this is kind of what's going on with a person who has a fear of math. All right, they just you know uh, they've already determined that they're not going to be able to really learn this, so there's kind of this mental wall, and so obviously they're going to not be receiving the information the way they should be, and so their performance is really going to be subpar. Now, guess what that does, right? That validates, yep, told you so, told you so, that I was bad at math, and then it goes and just reinforces this concept. You say, you should have listened to me in the first place. Don't even teach me this stuff because I told you I couldn't learn it. Da 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 da. Right? So it's a vicious cycle. It's a negative cycle, and so that's kind of how I like to, define what math anxiety is. Kind of what I'm talking about, right? All right, so some of you out there might say, well, that's not me. Just don't feel like I'm good in math. There's all kinds of levels to it, and it can be very subtle. All right, I want you to ask yourself, right? To ask yourself this. Maybe you're 20, 30, 40, 50, whatever age you're in. Maybe you're still, in high school or middle school. Um, give yourself an honest assessment. Are you good in math? How do you feel about math? Right? Do you feel like you're a good math student? Do you feel like you are capable of learning math? Let me ask you this. Do you think you can learn calculus? All right. Like this crazy stuff, right? Like, oh my goodness, what is this guy doing? Da 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 da. You know, all this ridiculous like advanced math. Do you feel like you're capable, like you could learn it if worked at it? These are questions you have to think about this. Now, the reason why I'm saying this, if you if you feel like, yeah, I can learn that, that shows that you have confidence in yourself in your ability to learn, right? To learn advanced materials. I'm not saying learn this like in next week. I'm talking about could you get there? Could you work through the process? Do you have the capacity to one day understand this stuff, all right? So when you answer those questions truthfully to yourself, it kind of gives you a gauge on what you think about yourself mathematically. Okay. So, how does this occur? How does someone, kind of get in this stage? Well, this is kind of my ideas and how it happens. So, math anxiety, basically, the way this happens, all right, happens. Hopefully, I spelled this right. How does this happen, right? Well, it could happen in a number of different ways. Okay, first of all, a student could have a learning disorder. There could be something going on, all right, that just makes learning math very difficult for anybody. Okay, so and maybe it's been undiagnosed, and it's just frustrating. And so, you know what, they just can't learn math or not. It's very difficult to be successful in math without discovering, hey, what's this learning disorder? And there's a lot of them out there. And by the way, I'm going to tell you right off the bat, for those of you out there, because some of you out there might be parents of children at a younger age, you got to be paying attention to what's going on with your kids. If they're struggling in any in with school, um, you might want to be thinking, hey, do they have a learning disorder? There's something else going on there. Might not just be them not paying attention to the teacher, etc. So, yes, there are things that you might want to need to get checked out. All right, so that's the first thing, right? The second thing I would say is the teacher. Okay, is the teacher. What was your teacher like, or your a student's let's say it's you. Let's say you have math anxiety. Look back on the teachers you've had. All right, were they bad teachers? Were they good teachers? I would say a lot of you would say like I've had a lot of bad teachers, And by the way, too, let me say as a math teacher myself, are there bad teachers? Yeah, there's people that should not be in the teaching career. I'll say that. I don't want to say there's bad people. I don't want to make that kind of judgment, but there are some people, good people, maybe should not be in the teaching, career, and maybe you encountered one of those, along the line, a couple or two, three of them along your teaching education, and it didn't work out. Also, there could be, good teachers that you didn't just connect with. Maybe you get their teaching style. For whatever the case is, you could think back, or a student could have had a negative experience with a particular teacher for whatever reason. Okay, this can happen. All right, this can definitely happen. So the next thing would be like support. All right, what kind of support did a person have? Was the parent actively supportive, knowing what was going on? Was the student kind of allowed to kind of struggle? Maybe the parent just didn't know what to do. Like, oh, I don't know what to do here. Other than, all right, you're on restriction. I'm going to take this away from you. You're failing math. Bad boy, bad girl, boom, boom, boom. You go back and redo it, and now you're going to have to go to summer school. Maybe the only level of support your parent knew or whatever was they didn't know, so maybe they just took more of an attitude towards like you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, okay, that type of thing. Whereas maybe you did have some legitimate things going on, right? So there's a lot kind of going in here, and then what ends up happening is through a track record, all right, a track record, which is a negative track record, you have this kind of self-fulfilling identity. Okay, a negative track record means, hey, I'm failing, I'm failing, I'm failing, I'm failing, I'm failing, I'm failing. I mean, after a while, a person starts to become, it's like the proof, the evidence, like, yeah, I'm not good. Well, when a student is failing, 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 guess what? They're hopefully, in a perfect world, people would be like, hey, what's going on with this situation? The teacher would be like, hey, let's get the parent involved. Let's maybe see the child study team. Let's just see if there's something else going on here. Let's get this child a tutor. Maybe let's put this child in another math class, okay, or with a different teacher. Da 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 da. Guess what? Oftentimes this doesn't happen for a lot of people, and today it's I'm sure through the years, all education, districts, schools, they're aware of this, and they try to do their best. But ultimately, there's so many students going on. There's so many students in a school. There's a lot going on. You got one teacher might have 100 different students amongst different classes. you know, it's tough to narrow down, and commit. Sometimes a child, let's just say, I guess what I'm saying is, doesn't get the attention they really need, okay? And the parent maybe is not there, they don't understand. So they get kind of lost in this kind of sea of just being bounced around, boop, 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 and over the years, it just, or through the grades, it just, the same cycle repeats. And so you get this math anxiety where, it's very detrimental to students. Okay, big time. This is very detrimental. Let me show you real quick how detrimental it can be. So let's say this starts to happen in elementary school, right? You're struggling in math. Guess what? That's going to carry over in middle school for sure. Maybe so. And then when they get to high school, your GPA counts towards college, you know, whatever you're going to be doing. Your child, okay, or you yourself might have looked back and be like, boy, I wish I wanted to be an astronaut. I wanted to be an engineer. I wanted to be a doctor, but I was so afraid of college. Because I was bad in math, that, probably means that I would be bad in college, and I couldn't be an engineer. I couldn't be this and that. And it really puts a cap on people's ideas of what they can be, okay, their potential, opportunities, etc. And so here you are at a young age, and you've already eliminated all the different possible dreams and aspirations that you could possibly explore. All right, but because you have a fear of a particular subject, which could translate in your overall identity of like, maybe I'm just not academically smart, you go a different route in life, and you in life, and you always wonder, man, could I have learned? Could I, what would it have been like if I wouldn't go to college? Maybe I could have done that. And I got to tell you, one of the saddest things that I've experienced, and I've kind of used that word. There's a lot more sad things in life, but something that is definitely I find kind of sad is when I work or have like an adult learner. Okay, someone, I don't know, like in their 40s or something, or older, or a parent that's in their 40s or 50s, and they have their child, they're trying to help their child, and they're like, oh yeah, I struggle with math. My child struggles with math too. They must be like me. But guess what? One of the craziest things that have happened, at least in my learning program, I've been able to help so many students overcome this, that when they discover, wow, I can learn math. And I'll talk about how we can kind of, switch this kind of some things you can do with this about this math anxiety. But when there's a realization, especially for older people and their adults later on in life, when they start to become successful in math, right, or if they become successful, and it changes their whole idea about their past. Okay, and I've seen this so many times, it's crazy. All right, it's like, wow, I can learn math. I was never a bad math student. You know, I didn't have all these things, all right, or I didn't have the support, or, if I only could go back and do it over again, what could I be today? And there's been so many times where I've worked with adult learners that this realization occurs, and it just, I think it really bothers some people because it makes them question, man, I wish I had that to do over again. Um, because you don't want to go through life with any regrets, right? None of us do. So it's critical at these young ages, especially if you have a child, that you address this, math anxiety. Now, I'm going to tell you right now. Let's just talk about this in general, mathematics. Okay. All right. There's a difference between math anxiety and, let's say, math potential. All right. So like for myself, okay, here, okay, I went to high school, boom, 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 and then I went to college, and so I have a BA in mathematics. That's like a degree in kind of a theoretical mathematics. A BS is more like Bachelor of Science is more applied mathematics. Then I have a Master's of Science in educational technology. So but I can tell you right now, yeah, I have a degree in math. Compared to someone who's struggling with algebra, I might look like Albert Einstein to them. They're like, oh my goodness, how do you even understand that? Well, guess what? It's all relative. For me, my professors are like PhDs from like Harvard and Caltech and MIT. These guys, to me, are like Albert Einstein. Me, I'm like this student in high school. Okay, so my math potential, was not trying to solve the world's hardest math problems, and continuing on. I felt like, yeah, could I have done that? Maybe I could have done that, but that wasn't my interest. I went on and did different things. But my potential is more maybe in teaching mathematics at like this level. So that's what I'm good at, and I'm kind of in that lane of life. All right. So everybody is kind of has their own potential that they got to fulfill. Math anxiety is really a barrier to stop you from getting there. So you might say, well, maybe you had math anxiety about becoming a PhD in mathematics. Well, it wasn't so much that I just didn't have the interest uh, into continuing to that level. And I also felt, honestly, although I could have achieved that, it didn't align with my goals and at that time in my life. And, I felt like naturally speaking that, hey, we all have a certain cap, right? That's different than I can't learn basic math. I'm not even going to try type of thing. I'm pretty sure I could have gotten a PhD in mathematics. And yeah, I know I could have. Okay. But because I knew how to work hard and just grind things out and just not stop. But again, math anxiety is when you stop yourself before you even tried because you have this identity about who you are and what you're capable of learning. That's what's so detrimental about having this math anxiety. You're stopping yourself before you even trying because you are convinced that you can't learn, right? That's a different deal than math potential. All right, so now let's talk. Let's end this. Let's give you some things on what can be done. Right. So what do you do? So like, how do we make this better? How to make better? And I'm kind of doing this video on the fly. It's definitely an important topic. Um, and I have all these, experience and ideas in my head. I want to just really kind of, define the problem, relate to some of you out there who are struggling with this, so you know that I understand, you know, the psychology of this. But how do we make this better? Well, a couple big thoughts. Okay, the first thing, okay, the biggest thing is that this math anxiety is a mindset. It's a mindset. It's a mental thing, okay? It's, hey, this person believes that this is them. So if you don't change this mindset, we have to change the mindset of the person, all right? That's the number one thing. So how do we change someone's mindset? How does that work? Well, you're going to have to give them like a real life experience. Like you're going to have to show them, okay? You're not going to be able to talk. Look, you can do it. All the pep talks, like, hey, come watch this video with me. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. Think about it, right? How many, like to us, how many people have said to you on a particular goal, no, you can do that. You could do this. Yeah. All these, pep talks. Guess what? That doesn't mean anything, all right? It's nice and it's an appreciated gesture. And I'm not even saying that a person shouldn't be given the pep talk, right? Because that might motivate them to take the actions. But what they need to do is have real life experience through taking, actual new action, all right? And what are we talking about here? Well, we're talking about rewriting their track record. You got to build confidence. And the only way you're going to increase confidence, okay, is through one success at a time. One success at a time. So let's kind of do this. All right. So it's like climbing stairs. This is it. Bump, bump, bump. Here's my little stairs. Obviously, they're terrible stairs. You get the idea. Okay. This is time. All right. No, this is confidence, actually. Let's say this is confidence. And this is time. It's going to take time to build your confidence up. So that's the first thing we need to realize. It's going to take time to build your confidence up, but it can be done. The whole main thing that I'm trying to get is this person who's struggling with math anxiety doesn't even want to get on that first step, okay? Because they feel like they might take one or two steps and fall down, okay? That's a natural, conclusion when all your experience in math has been, negative, all right? So what we have to do, it's funny, I have a little dog. I have stairs in our home. My little Bichon Frege, his name is Rocky. And I'm like, oh, come on, Rocky, let's go up these stairs a little bit. Nothing too crazy. But he's so scared to even kind of go up to the two steps. It's kind of funny. I'm like trying to get him to go up a few steps, just so he kind of knows how to walk on steps. Maybe I'm a bad dog trainer. Who knows? But anyways, um, well, my idea here is, hey, listen, we got to try to rewrite someone's track records where it's safe to go up these steps where you're not going to fall down. In other words, you could be at this step and then be okay. So how do we do that? Well, we're going to have to do it in small steps. All right, small steps. Now, some of you are like, well, listen, my kid, or I don't have the time to just, take my time to small, little, tiny math steps to build my confidence. Well, I'm going to tell you like this: if you don't do it that way, okay, you're going to not be you're going to continue to struggle with math anxiety, because here's the worst thing you could do. You're going to be like, I'm going to take one big leap because I don't have the time. I need to get to this level. I have to get to this level. The pressure's on me. Da, 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 da. You take that leap, guess what's going to happen? You're going to go right back down. And then it's just going to be a big like validation that you can't learn math. Okay. So it takes time. It takes time to overcome like significant math anxiety. That's something that's been established in someone's mindset for years of learning math, or failing math and struggling in math. And this really it can, I'm going to get back to my little chart here as well. But here's the thing: this is what happens. Let's take fifth grade math, sixth grade math, seventh grade math, eighth grade math, whatever the case is. Let's say a person is struggling in fifth grade, boom, having big problems. Then they carry that over in sixth grade. The teacher was not the best teacher here. Teacher here was like okay. Then here in the seventh grade, they have a great teacher, like a great teacher. Okay, they come in. Guess what? The teacher might was able to do some uh, um, have some impact on the student, okay, but not enough. Okay, so in other words, this just continues to kind of because all this stuff is important to learn seventh grade math. So in other words, you get behind, all right, and once you get behind significantly, it's hard to catch up. It's hard to catch up. So it's kind of a self-fulfilling negative vicious cycle, right? So you don't, this is how it works. It's hard to get caught up. So you as the parent or you as the student have to be, recognize that addressing this is not going to be easy. Okay, it's going to require a lot of extra work, a lot of support. Um, but is it worth it? Well, of course it is. Absolutely. And I think the biggest thing is to say, okay, what can we do to start building a person's confidence so that they will stick with climbing up this hill? Okay, so one thing at a time. So what's the first thing? What's the first step they should take? Whatever they can handle. Whatever they can handle. I don't care if it's 1 plus 1. 1 plus 1 equals 2. Uh, Billy, what's 1 plus 1? 2. Perfect. Wow. See, math. Let's go to the next thing. What is 3 plus 4? Oh, that's 7. Wow, look at that. Da, 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 da. Positive reinforcement. And then you just start from a level that they can handle, and you start working not even on the math skills. You're really working on their identity, their mindset. You're building their confidence, and eventually they will stick with it. They'll have momentum to go. And of course, you're going to run into difficult times here where they're going to have to struggle through, and that's normal for any student. But the main idea is to start building a new cycle of confidence, a positive reinforcing cycle. Okay, there's so much more I can get into this about academic habits and et cetera, et cetera. So it's a big um, objective to overcome this, but it can be done. It can be done. All right. And if let's say you're an adult learner, maybe you're 40, 50, whatever the case is, 30, 25, and think about yourself. Maybe you got to take the GED test, and you're like, oh, I forget. I don't remember any math. I was terrible at math. You got to that mindset. You got to check yourself right there. Boom. Hey, I'm not doing myself any favors thinking that way. You got to get yourself at the right level with the right mental attitude to climb this step. In a former life, I was in the Marine Corps. I joined the Marine Corps at the tender age of 17, and I went to boot camp at MCRD San Diego, 1987. 1987, we put that right, and that was very impactful. Okay, one of the most difficult things I've done. But there's some big hills out in Camp Pendleton, and if any of you out there know what I'm talking about, Southern California, huge hills. And I remember one of the things we had to do in boot camp was climb this gigantic hill. Okay, these hills had nice names associated with them, and they were huge too. And we were carrying a lot of weight. And I remember we would go up to this hill. We were climbing. Oh, I don't know. It was like all night. Here, I'll just tell you a quick story, and we'll wrap up this video. So we're climbing these big hills, and here we are. Here's our platoon. We're like our right here, and we're like, oh, do we climb all the hills? And the drill instructors are like, climb all the hills, because we were tired. We thought we were like, we did like all this huge accomplishment. They're like, you didn't even start. And the hill that we had to climb was like this. It was. So we were like, oh my goodness, this is the real challenge. This was just a warm up. And I remember, when we would climb up these mountainsides and whatnot, I never looked up. I don't think any of us was trying to look at the top. That would have been too discouraging. Okay. And that's the thing. You never looked at the top. I focused one step at a time, literally looking at my steps. Boom, boom. Can I just take another step? Take another step. One step. Okay. And that's how you do things in life that are difficult. Can you take another step? All right. And then but your focus has got to be down on taking steps. Too many of you, okay, or looking at the big objective, it's too intimidating. If I would have looked up here, I'd be like, "There's no way." If I just keep focusing on the ability to take another step forward, I will get there. All right. Very much like building a big brick wall. Okay. Ba, 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 ba. If you look at this thing, there's impossible. This thing is huge. But if we focus on putting down one step, one brick at a time, just get good at that, that eventually we'll have that. Same thing with math. Okay. And these are lessons about life as well. That's why math anxiety could be so detrimental if it's not addressed. Okay, because we learn about ourselves. We learn about like how to handle difficulty, how to handle challenge, what we're capable of. So, I feel strongly about this because I really, really want to help people. But sometimes, whether it's your child or you, the solution, okay, is not necessarily changing. Like you got to really be reflective on this. It's not just about like, hey, oh, I need to get a tutor, or I need to do this, da, da, da. You can switch your teachers around, you can switch your program around, you can get a tutor, you can get a better calculator, you can do this, that, and other thing. Guess what? If you didn't address your mindset, okay, and deep down you're still on this negative thinking cycle, you're not going to be able to improve, right? And you got to really, really reflect about this. You need a strong mentor out there to help. Okay. So, anyways, obviously, I have a lot of passion about this subject because I don't want to see any child, any person, be limited in terms of their potential in life. Okay. For me, myself, I was lucky. I was so lucky to have gone in the Marine Corps. uh, you know, uh, of course, there were some other adventures along the way, but it taught me, hey, failure is not an option. You can do far more than you think you can do. Okay, it doesn't have to be the Marine Corps. It could be algebra. It could be whatever the case is. All right, you just have to strengthen yourself. But you can do so much more in math. Okay, if you're stuck right now or your child's done, you got to really believe that. Okay, and if you believe it, you can make it so. All right, so I want to wish you all the best, okay, with whatever situation you might find yourself in, whether it's for you, your child, or you're just interested in this topic. And again, this is based upon my experience, but I think it's a pretty solid experience, as a parent, as a teacher, and just in life. Okay. All right. So with that being said, I definitely wish you all the best in your mathematics adventures. Thank you for your time, and have a great day.